From the earliest beginnings of the world's great civilizations, long before the dawn of modern science and medicine, and long before fleeting cultural trends shaped human behaviors and beliefs, the relationship between humans and plants has held a far deeper and far more sacred significance than many realize today. Imagine ancient societies gathered beneath vast, starry skies, where the natural world was not merely a backdrop to daily life, but a living, breathing partner in the mystery of existence itself. In those times when the pulse of the earth was felt deeply in every breath, plants were more than mere flora. They were revered as sacred beings, carriers of wisdom, and bridges between the physical and the spiritual. The bond between humans and plants was understood as an intricate, profound alchemy, an interweaving of body, mind, spirit, and the natural cosmos that transcended the mundane and touched the divine. In this sacred and timeless context, the cannabis plant was never viewed simply as an ordinary herb or commodity. It was cherished, honored, and deeply respected as a gateway, an ancient portal that could lead beyond the ordinary realms of waking consciousness and into the vast, mysterious territories of the mind and spirit. The cannabis plant represented a threshold, a mystical doorway that opened into other dimensions of perception and understanding, revealing hidden truths and illuminating inner landscapes that were otherwise inaccessible. Yet, like all true gateways, it did not open only to the light. It also revealed shadowed corridors within the soul, places where the darkness we have long avoided and repressed dwells, places that hold both challenge and transformation. This video dares to pose a question that many people shy away from confronting with serious reflection. What are the spiritual consequences of cannabis consumption? Not from the standpoint of law, popular media, or mainstream science, which often portray cannabis as a recreational escape or a symbol of youthful rebellion, but rather through a deep, contemplative journey of exploration across cultures and across time. From the ancient Vedic scriptures of India, where sacred chants invoke cosmic energies, to the Taoist traditions of China, with their intricate practices of alchemy and inner cultivation, from the Rastafari rituals of Jamaica, where cannabis is a holy sacrament, to the esoteric, secretive texts of Gnostic and Kabbalistic sects, where spiritual seekers use every tool to penetrate the mysteries of existence. Our aim is not to judge or condemn, but to illuminate and invite deeper understanding. Cannabis was once regarded as a powerful key to unlocking sacred doors, doors that led into realms of spiritual insight and cosmic connection. But a key is not meant for worship or mindless use. It is meant to be handled with great care, responsibility, timing, and respect. The real question we must ask ourselves is not, is cannabis sacred, but rather, are you sacred enough to use it rightly? Are you prepared mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to face what this gateway may reveal? For thousands of years, cannabis has been known not merely as a medicinal herb, but as a spiritual gateway in many ancient cultures. An entrance to metaphysical worlds where humans can touch realities beyond the limits of the physical senses. In the profound traditions of Hinduism, cannabis is intimately linked with the god Shiva, the destroyer and recreator. Shiva, often depicted seated in deep meditation, is said to consume cannabis to transcend earthly existence and achieve unity with the cosmos itself. Among Hindu devotees, cannabis, especially in its form as bhang, is used in sacred rituals designed to facilitate meditative states, open the heart, and foster communion with the divine. It is believed to soothe turbulent minds, dissolve the egoic shell that separates the individual self from universal consciousness, and allow one to experience Brahman, the supreme reality beyond form and limitation. This is no casual pastime, but a disciplined practice embedded within a vast spiritual framework. Across the ocean in Jamaica, the Rastafari movement reveres cannabis as a holy herb. For Rastafari practitioners, cannabis is not merely a recreational substance, but a sacrament used in sacred chants, prayers, and music ceremonies designed to elevate consciousness and experience the presence of Yah, God. It serves as a tool to expand awareness, sharpen spiritual insight, and illuminate inner truths. In the vibrant gatherings of Rastafari, cannabis is woven into the fabric of worship and communal bonding, reflecting a worldview where every plant, every breath, and every sound is imbued with divine purpose. Even ancient Chinese Taoist texts contain intriguing references to cannabis. Some manuscripts describe how Taoist adepts employed cannabis in tandem with meditation, breathwork, and alchemical practices to journey spiritually and explore other realms of existence. Yet in every case across these diverse cultures, cannabis use was carefully circumscribed within strict spiritual discipline, meditation, preparation, and ethical conduct. It was never a casual indulgence, but a solemn, respectful practice. The crucial difference lies in context and intention. In these ancient sacred traditions, cannabis was never consumed casually or for mere pleasure. It was part of rituals where users were energetically, mentally, and ethically prepared, ready to meet whatever insights or challenges the plant might reveal. They understood that the substance itself was only a vehicle, a means to an end, not the destination. Cannabis was like a boat ferrying one safely across a turbulent river. Once on the other side, the traveler must disembark, leaving the vessel behind. The true journey continued on foot through inner work and spiritual discipline. In stark contrast, the modern world often treats cannabis as a quick fix or an escape from the harsh realities of life. A simple, easy getaway from stress, anxiety, emptiness, and disconnection. Without inner readiness or spiritual boundaries, the use of cannabis can become energetically hazardous, exposing users to unforeseen dangers. Many mystical traditions teach that the human energy field, often called the aura, functions as a protective interface communicating with the cosmos and regulating energetic influences. When cannabis is used without balance in ethics, spirit, and body, this energetic shield weakens. The protective barrier that normally wards off low-frequency energies thins, leaving one vulnerable to unseen forces, negative vibrations, and sometimes even invisible entities residing in other dimensions. Countless users describe feeling disconnected from their bodies, as though their souls float away or dissolve into an uncontrollable haze. This disconnection is not merely a neurological side effect, but a sign of spiritual vulnerability, an opening that can be exploited. It is like leaving your front door wide open at night and falling asleep, unaware of what might enter. Cannabis indeed has the power to expand consciousness, to open the mind and spirit, but that expansion does not automatically guarantee enlightenment or positive transformation. Sometimes opening the mind prematurely is like throwing open a window in the middle of a violent storm. What rushes in is not only light and clarity, but chaos, confusion, and darkness. This understanding does not mean cannabis is inherently bad or evil. Far from it. When used in sacred contexts and with mature awareness, cannabis can be a powerful ally supporting spiritual awakening and healing. But if misused or abused, it becomes a double-edged sword, leading users into cycles of illusion, dependency, disconnection, and spiritual fragmentation. The key is discernment, respect, and deep inner preparation. Ultimately, no external substance, no magical plant, no chemical compound can replace the true spiritual practice that arises from daily conscious living. No amount of cannabis can awaken you if you do not cultivate presence, integrity, compassion, and truthfulness in your everyday actions and relationships. Spiritual awakening is not about shortcuts or quick fixes. It is a lifelong journey of returning home to your authentic self. There is no denying cannabis's extraordinary ability to widen perception. That is why it was so widely used in sacred ceremonies across ancient cultures. Yet such expansion is not always beneficial, especially when the inner foundation, the spiritual, emotional, and energetic infrastructure, is unprepared or fragile. Cannabis acts as a key opening doors between layers of consciousness. But what happens if the other side is not only filled with light? What if shadows lurk there too? Using cannabis ignorantly thins the energetic shield surrounding the body, making one susceptible to lower vibrations and invisible entities inhabiting other dimensions. Some users report feelings of disorientation, vagueness, and profound disconnection after use. These experiences are not simply neurological side effects, but may indicate spiritual intrusion, energetic misalignment, or loss of grounding. We cannot rely on substances like cannabis as shortcuts to spiritual awakening. Without a strong foundation of inner work, expanding consciousness is like opening your door wide at night. inviting both light and darkness inside, with no control over what comes in. In short, without preparation, knowledge, and inner discipline, cannabis use for spiritual purposes may bring consequences deeper and more complex than many expect. In the spiritual realm, not everyone walks with true awareness. Many begin their journey with intense experiences, seeing entities, sensing energies, having unusual visions that lead them to believe they have awakened, that they have reached a higher level of consciousness than others. But here the spiritual ego quietly takes root. The spiritual ego is subtler and more deceptive than the ordinary ego. It wears the mask of morality and spirituality, claiming the right to enlightenment and looking down on others as still asleep or less evolved. Those caught in this state often judge and preach, but lack the true compassion and humility that are the essence of authentic spiritual growth. When the ego feeds on mystical experiences, it traps one in illusions of progress while diverting attention from genuine awakening. Many remain stuck for years, appearing outwardly powerful and knowledgeable, yet spiritually stagnant and isolated. The truth is that awakening is not about seeing more or knowing more, but about living humbly, loving unconditionally, and genuinely connecting with yourself and others. If the spiritual ego is not seen and transformed, it becomes an invisible wall blocking access to your deepest freedom and authenticity. Many mistakenly see spiritual awakening as a final destination, a sublime state where all questions are answered and suffering ceases forever. The reality is quite the opposite. Awakening is just the first door opening onto a long, ongoing journey ahead. When awakening begins, you may experience new sensations, expanded mind, unity with the cosmos, deep insights, and moments of profound peace. These moments can be deeply moving, even tearful, as if returning home. But they are signs of entering the path, not the end of it. They do not guarantee that you will live fully in the light or that your journey will be smooth. After that initial phase, many layers of shadow, wounds, and false beliefs buried in the subconscious begin to rise to the surface. When the light shines on these inner wounds, they stir, confronting you with pain, confusion, and disorientation. Many mistakenly think they are regressing or losing connection, but this is a natural and essential part of spiritual purification and growth. One of the greatest challenges in this phase is perseverance. Some give up, believing they are on the wrong path. Others chase early highs of awakening and get stuck in spiritual delusions. Only those brave enough to look deeply into their inner darkness and humble enough to relearn from scratch can continue on the path with truth and love. Awakening is ultimately an invitation to return to yourself, a journey without a clear map or endpoint, but always worth continuing moment by moment. One of the most common misunderstandings on the spiritual path is the belief that I must be healed, perfected, and good enough to deserve connection with God, the universe, or the divine. The profound truth is that you do not need to become anyone else but your true self, right here and now, to be loved, connected, and supported. No one on this planet is perfect. Everyone carries wounds, limitations, and shadows, but the sacred does not demand you erase all of these to come near. On the contrary, when you are honest with yourself about your pain, weakness, and lostness, you open a vital door, the door of humility and true connection. God, the universe, or whatever name you call the sacred, always present and non-judgmental, does not require you to meet standards in order to receive love. Just like the sun does not wait for you to clean your windows before shining through. The light is always there. The real question is, do you have the courage to open the door and receive it? Instead of striving to become some ideal spiritual version of yourself, begin with who you are right now, right where you stand. You may be hurting. You may be angry, doubtful, or empty. That is okay. Bring all of it into your connection. Sit quietly and say, here I am. Clumsy, unhealed, but willing to be seen. That is true awakening. That is real connection.